Hello and welcome back to the Wizard's Tower. Today is the first part in my D&D Beginner's Guide series that I'm going to be doing, aimed at giving beginners a foundation on which to play D&D. That's not to say that you can't watch these videos if you already know the difference between an investigation check and a perception check. Just be aware that I'm not going to be delving too deep into the game's narrative or mechanics. Today, we're going to look at what you need to get started playing Dungeons and Dragons. Right, before we get started, I know neither of you have played D&D before, so what have you got with you?
I downloaded the free rules last week. I've had a quick read of them and also picked up some dice.
That's great. Dice is all you really need. Most DMs have all the rule books and character sheets. So what about... Oh. Dungeons and Dragons is one of those games that can be played with as little as a smartphone and an internet connection, or as much as a library of hardback books and buckets of miniatures and dice. It's all too easy to get wrapped up in the products that you see used on Twitch or unboxed on channels like this one. But the truth is, you don't need much more than the rules, paper and pencils, some dice and a few friends. So let's start by taking a look at what I typically use when I run D&D. I have the core rulebooks, a DM screen, dice, pencils and notepaper, a few supplements, more dice, magic item cards, miniatures and map tiles, the adventure book, a dice tray, printed character sheets, even more dice, a collection of atmospheric Spotify playlists, and a fancy tankard. Now that's a lot of stuff, and to be fair, I run a D&D channel for a reason. In truth, you don't need most of this to play D&D, so let's take away all of the optional bits. There we go. Now, let's take a look at those rules. If you're new to D&D, these are what is known as the 3 core rulebooks. The Player's Handbook contains a wide selection of races, classes, feats and backgrounds, hundreds of spells and equipment, and all the rules you'll ever need. The Dungeon Master's Guide contains information on how to run the game, how to create adventures and build worlds, tables for random encounters and treasure, and more. And finally, the Monster Manual has stats and lore about hundreds of monsters, beasts, and non-player characters. But before you run out to your local game store and demand these books, did you know that you can download the basic rules for free? Sure, it doesn't have all of the races, classes, spells, monsters and magic items found in the core rulebooks, but it has all of the rules and enough stuff to get you started. It should also be noted that 2 of the 3 core rulebooks contain information for the Dungeon Master and not necessarily the players. As a player in the game, you only really need the Player's Handbook. Okay, now let's take a look at the DM screen. Granted, you don't need a DM screen to play D&D. They fall into that optional but very useful category. On the player side you have some amazing artwork, and on the DM side you have a plethora of useful information, such as actions you can take in combat, conditions, setting a DC, cover, and food, drink and lodging prices. Next up we have the dice. A set of dice typically contains a D20, a D12, a D10, a D8, a D6 and a D4. You can spend as much or as little as you'd like on dice sets like this, and you can even use your smartphone if you don't have any dice. Siri, roll a D20.
It's 16.
Pencils and notepaper can be found just about anywhere, and character sheets can be printed off at home. And well, that's it really. Everything you need to play D&D. So let's take all of that stuff and replace it with a single product. If you've seen my Essentials Kit unboxing video, you'll know that everything here, except the pencils and paper, can be found in that box. and there's even more than you actually need. It's being released next month, so my suggestion, if you're just getting started with D&D, is go and download those free rules right now, and then when the Essentials kit is released, pick it up. It's got everything you need in the box. Well, that's it for episode 1 of my D&D Beginner's Guide. Join me next week when we take a look at character creation in the best way possible. We're literally just going to sit down and make a character together. If you enjoyed this video, like, subscribe, share it, and I'll see you next time. Take care.